Slush, how are we feeling tonight? Let me hear it! I know it's been 2 long days, but I hope you still have some energy left in you, as we're gonna need it. My name is Kalle, and I'm the head of startups at Slush. It is my absolute honor to welcome you to the Slush 100 final. This is my favorite moment of the year, when the grit, vision, and ambition of thousands of founders come together on this stage. Over the past months, we've watched ideas evolve, momentum build, and founders pushing themselves to the limit. And tonight, we get to celebrate the very best of them, right here with all of you. From 1,000 startups across the world, to 100, to 50, to 20 in the semifinal. And now, only 3 remain. Tonight, one of them will walk away with a €1 million equity investment from Cherry Ventures and General Catalyst. This is the stage where great ideas face the spotlight. And these 3 founders, they are here to deliver. Right now, they are backstage preparing with their co-founders. Pacing, breathing deep, ready to give everything they've got. This is their moment. Now it's time to meet the people who, besides the founders, have the toughest job of tonight. Please welcome our Slush 100 jury on stage. From Cherry Ventures, partners Philip Dames and Sophia Benz, joined by partners General Catalyst, Zeynep Yavuz and Robin Deschamps. Welcome. Are we getting Philip and Sophia as well? Please, Philip and Sophia. Let's give a hand. Welcome. These 4 will decide who takes home the €1 million investment tonight. I'm very happy to be just hosting. All right, some quick practicalities. Each finalist gets 5 minutes to pitch, followed by 5 minutes of Q&A with our jury. So let's make sure every founder who steps on this stage feels the full power of this crowd. 3 founders, 3 stories. Now it's time to see who rises to it. Slush, it is time to bring out our first finalist. Imagine cameras that can see 20 times farther than anything on the market and interpret what they see 1,000 times faster. Now imagine launching them into space at less than 1% of today's satellite cost. Diffraction isn't just building hardware. They are reimagining how humanity observes the Earth and beyond. Their ultra-high resolution camera system feeds into what will become the largest Earth and space observation satellite network ever built. It's bold, it's ambitious, and it could reshape entire industries, from climate monitoring to global logistics. Please welcome on stage Johannes from Diffraction.
Hello, Helsinki. Good evening. My name is Johannes. I'm CEO, co-founder of Diffraction. And I'm here to tell you how we see further and think faster. If you ever caught something and when it dropped, And that was actually your eye doing this instinctive movement and catching it. And it was not your brain. Your eye is an astounding organ that can actually instinctively think faster than the brain can. And we used this principle to build the first visual sensing and processing unit that is based on quantum technology, based on research from MIT and University of Maryland. This replaces your conventional camera and GPU, and you can see 20 times further than any camera today, and you can think 1,000 times faster than any GPU that is available today. And I'll show you now how it works.
The human eye is a masterpiece of evolution. Vast, intelligent, and brilliantly complex. The retina doesn't just capture images, it quickly reacts to shapes and movement, triggering split-second responses faster than the brain. Diffraction's technology computes light like the retina, achieving 20 times the resolution and 1,000 times the speed of a conventional camera. Delivering the world's sharpest machine vision, superpowering tiny satellites at a fraction of the cost.
So how does this work? We, instead of capturing the light with the normal camera and then processing it, we directly process the light with photonic elements and photonic processors we can reprogram. So this research came out of NASA, DARPA, and MIT research for the last 7 years. My co-founder, Saikat, professor between Maryland and MIT, developed this technology, and I met him at MIT. And that's how we can extract the maximum resolution that quantum mechanics allows. Here you see a star. This is Diffraction limited, so it's the last letter. You can see it in optometrist, where it gets blurry. And this is the best camera you can buy today on the left-hand side, a blurry star. Next to it, our camera could see another star hiding behind it, 25 times further away. Now, this is a camera that has a broad application, both in space, but also on Earth and in the air and at sea. We squarely focus on space. Now, how we actually bring this to market, we have partners that provide and hosts our camera in space. So we have things like Kepler, Loft, Starlink, AWS that can host the camera. We take the data. The data is then brought to our platform partner, Skyfi, where we have a partnership with. And that one is then brought to NATO partners for defense use cases, keeping warfighters safe in the field, but also keeping our assets in space safe. But also commercial customers like hedge funds, agriculture companies, farms, but also predicting forest fires, governments that want to prevent illegal fishing can profit from this camera. And what you see here, we built this fleet of Galileo. So this is our satellite. Our satellite here has the highest resolution of any satellite in space commercially available. And we have a fleet of these making Earth observation and space observation completely much, much cheaper than it is today. And we have the best team in the world to produce this and bring this to market. We have postdocs in quantum physics and from Caltech, MIT, Columbia, and Harvard. And Mark, who has co-founded Kepler, the second largest space company in Canada. So far, we have a funding from DARPA, which brought us the first funding for $1.5 million. We have raised $2.5 million in safes. We partner today with the Air Force. We have a demo in Hawaii. The Space Force, we have, as we speak today, a demo in Colorado Springs at the headquarters of the Space Force. With US SOCOM, we won the first award for best innovation, space innovation in the US. And we partner with Skyfi. We're part of 5 accelerators. And we're really much looking forward to bringing this technology and bringing Galileo both to space and on Earth here in the US, but also here for all our NATO partners. Thank you very much.
We stay here. All right. Thank you, Johannes. Just come here next to me, please. So let's start the Q&A. Robin, do you want to go first?
Sure. So first of all, thank you, Johannes. Also, thanks for coming from the US here.
Thank you.
We're very excited about space becoming a key critical component of the modern defense stack. I guess one of the questions I have is, how can you become more than just a component business or a supplier and more like a platform, capturing more of the end-to-end value that you're creating?
Yes. So the business model is that we actually produce the data, and then we can bring this data to our customers. So the solution is both ground-based, so you can point it upwards, which is our first product. Then you bring it in space, and you point it sideways for space domain, and then you can look downwards. And the main product that is actually the data that comes out of the camera. The camera is being, and then the data is being monetized towards both commercial and defense customers. And that allows us to become also a data platform for this camera. It can also be brought into drones to expand that model, both for Earth observation, which is just same imaging data or outcomes, analytics outcomes, but just a different product. And then beyond that, the camera itself, of course, is a hardware product together with the software component, which, like NVIDIA CUDA, you can program for different use cases further down the line, robotics, automotive, and so on.
It's incredible to see all the research that you've done with the universities and the strong IP that you've developed for your products.
Yes.
How do you think about defending this IP and protecting it in the near term, as well as adding more IP in the coming years?
Yes, of course. So this is proprietary IP developed that we have the exclusive license from the university that Sycad worked at. Beyond that, we have developed and now filed our own patents at Diffraction. But still, this is a TRL 4 technology, so technical readiness level 4, which means it's still early in the development. And there's still a lot of work to do to bring this into space, make it space ready and radiation ready. So with that, we need an excellent team that can build both IP, but more importantly, also proprietary information. So once we bring this out, we collect proprietary data that helps make these models even better. So even when others were reproducing this, the camera is quite finicky and would be very tricky to operate without the software and the hardware. And the software is a lot of proprietary information that we can keep away from competitors and keep an advantage.
Thank you, Johannes, for a great presentation. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Excellent. So we haven't been able to meet your co-founders, and we were a bit curious about them. So maybe if you can spend 1 minute or two on how did you all come together, and
Yes.
what are some of their superpowers?
Of course, yeah. So Sycad, actually, when I first met Sycad, he told me he's looking for aliens. And that was pretty cool. So he had this camera working with NASA and looking for life on exoplanets. And then I told him, I met him because I worked at the Center for Quantum Networks at MIT, and he is the director of the Center for Quantum Networks. That's the largest center for quantum technologies in the world. So I told him, hey, let's take this camera and point it somewhere else. So we started the DARPA SBIR for 1.5 million together. And Christine, my CTO, joined at the same time, where Christine, I actually went on LinkedIn and put in 10 skills, which are very specific to this. And there was only 10 people in the world that had this. She was number one. I didn't think she would join, but we had a common friend from MIT. Turns out she did her PhD together with Sycad at the same year. She at Harvard, he at MIT. And we met her, and she fell in love with the technology. And actually, the little logo here, I'm not sure you can see it, this is our mission patch. I always wear it here, called Galileo. Galileo is actually her dog. And it's not named after the scientist, but the dog. And the whole point was that if we point this, and the dog is in Helsinki downtown, we could see it. So that's how we met there. And maybe Mark, honorable mention, he was our judge, similar like this, a competition at MIT. And he loved us so much that he joined the company.
Awesome. Thank you.
We have 50 seconds left.
Maybe we have time for a quick one. So let's talk about timelines.
Yes.
When is this going to market? When do you think it will fly in space?
Yeah.
Or do you think the first use case is going to be on Earth pointing up?
Right. Actually, as we speak in Colorado Springs, Mark and Abdalali from my team are demoing the ground-based solution to Space Force. That one, we hope to have the prototype early next year, where we can show and demonstrate things. The actual launch of it into space is a bit later than that, in 27. And then 28, we hope that we can point the camera down to do Earth observation use cases.
All right. Thank you,
Excellent.
Johannes.
Thank
Let's
you.
give a big hand.
Thank you.
On to the next one. We all know email works, but it hasn't really evolved in 20 years. Kinetic is about to make it feel new again. Their platform lets brands embed live, interactive components directly into an email. Product browsing, reviews, surveys, cart recovery, even checkout. No clicks, no loading, no friction. And the best part, it plugs into Shopify and Klaviyo with zero migration. If customer engagement had a turbo mode, this would be it. Let's give a rockstar welcome to our second finalist, Lucas.
This is great. Hi. Email drives 30% of all e-commerce revenue. Yet, the channel powering a third of revenue hasn't fundamentally changed in 50 years. Every time you want a customer to do something, you send them away from the inbox. I'm Lucas, co-founder of Kinetic, and we are redefining email as an interactive surface where customers can take action right inside the inbox. Why now? Because product discovery is moving to AI. Soon, brands will no longer control how customers find them. That will be done by agents and LLMs. They can only control how customers stay. So retention will be the final competition between brands. And email, the last surface where brands still own context, data, and relationships, is going to be the key channel for brands to keep customers. But today, email is not built for that. Email is stuck in 2010. Let me show you an experience we all know. So let's say you get a marketing email, right? So you scroll through, you might decide to actually act on it, so you click. Well, you get redirected, there's a terribly slow load, a cookie banner, and then maybe your girlfriend texts because you forgot something, and then you're gone. This is kind of bad because it's full of friction. You actually need to leave the inbox to act. It's static, the content is frozen the moment it's sent, and it's disconnected. Today, it is still hard to capture and use behavioral data in emails. So that's why we built Kinetic. We remove the friction and let customers take action right inside the inbox. Buy a product, manage a subscription, fill out a form, leave a review, you name it, all without leaving the inbox. And the cool part, it is plug and play, so it's no code and no migration. We take your system and upgrade it, and we take weeks of coding that you would otherwise do and turn it into a simple drag and drop for the brand. And it works in 80% of all inboxes, including Apple Mail. But most importantly, what we focus on is data, revenue, and retention, and not gimmicks and funny gamification. So the thing is, frictionless emails for us is only step one. We are rebuilding email from the ground up across 3 phases. After solving friction by making emails actionable, we will solve stasis and make email content adapt in real time. And in the long run, Kinetic will enable truly behavior-driven one-to-one personalization at scale. So in other words, we are turning email into a living surface, as dynamic as a website, but owned by the brand. And we, as a team, are the right people to build this, because we've lived this pain from every angle. There's Dave, who spent 14 years in e-commerce and marketing. He went from building marketing emails to leading whole teams and markets. There's Philip, who built products for 10 plus years, and his last big project was actually an email marketing system powering a 1 billion plus GMV shop in Germany. And then there's me. I've set up growth and CRM at multiple startups, always bridging tech and go-to-market. We've seen this pain for years and tried to solve it, and finally did. So the big question now is, does it work? Let's take a look at one of our customers, Dr. Amy Upperskin. For card recovery, our interactive emails led to an uplift of 160% on the placed orders, as well as 93% more revenue per recipient versus the static email. For segmentation, our in-email form led to 71% more data points, as well as 165% higher response rates versus just linking to a web-only form. So more revenue, more data from the same inbox. We launched Kinetic in July, and since then, 15 plus leading e-commerce brands, as well as agencies, have adopted Kinetic. Because they feel the pain, they see the numbers, and they have zero desire to go back to static emails. Email is more relevant than ever. It just isn't built for the next decade. Kinetic is evolving it, from a message you read into a place you act. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucas.
Thank you.
Should we start from Sophia this time?
Happy to. So I had a question. There's so many people building in MarTech these days, and your product, I mean, the numbers are showing that you're proving great value, but when you only have like 1 or 2 sentences, how do you explain how you stand out compared to the other MarTech companies?
Yeah. So the big thing in MarTech right now is going omni-channel. Oh. Are you guys here? Yeah. So the big thing right now in marketing that everyone does is go very broad and try to become the CDP, the CRM, and own every single channel. What we do is we go very vertically into email, and we redefine the UX email does, and that's something no one else does because everyone tries to be broad, but we are maximizing this specific channel, and that is our differentiator.
One of my questions would be, if I look at the target audience today, it's very small, like it's smaller-ish brands, right, from e-commerce. Like long-term, one of my concerns would be the annual contract value for these customers is like usually relatively small, like a few, maybe 10, 20, 30K. How do you think long-term, how you can increase the ACV to like 100K or more?
Yeah. So, I mean, our biggest customer is around 100 million GMV, which is relatively small, but for us, it's big. So I think because we are usage-based with our pricing, we will just grow with usage in terms of customers. And the bigger the customer base, the bigger our impact is, because the more customers you have, the more you need data, the more impact conversion rate optimization has. And hence, we can charge simply more. So we still need to figure out enterprise pricing up to like this like 100K plus ACV, but definitely there's impact, so we can charge for it.
Yeah, so first of all, I think we would have loved to have this product at Zalando because it's adding value, and I think your first wedge to go into e-commerce where you deliver sort of clear ROI on checkout optimization and conversion rate improvements, I think it makes a lot of sense. But like when you think about this product and what you built and what you could potentially do with email in other contexts, let's think sort of financial services, KYC, KYB processes, other areas where you could make use of interactive email campaigns. How are you thinking about sort of the next steps outside of e-commerce, other industries that you may be tackling, or you think you're going to stick with the customer type that you're currently serving for the next years or so?
Yeah, good question. So e-commerce is huge, so we still have lots of stuff to do. I think the market itself for e-commerce is already quite big, but as you said, there's a million industries where we can apply this. My background, my last startup I worked for was actually a fintech, so it's also something when my co-founders and I discussed this idea, we talked about, okay, hey, what was actually the problem? And in that case, it was friction inside the KYC process. And I thought, okay, hey, why not continue it inside the email, for example? So for sure, we can expand this.
You could see that, right? You know, you didn't finish the form, and then the email goes out, hey, I still need your date of birth or whatever.
Exactly. So one thing right now that we're also building for e-commerce is something that we call progressive profiling, where you have a set of data questions that you ask, and we can then play out the ones that the customer has not answered yet, because maybe you don't know the dog's name or stuff like that, and then we just do that programmatically.
You're building a product for smaller brands and SMEs, and you have a touch point with the consumers. So the product that you're building is going to have a lot of consumer engagement as well. And in this, both the feeling that you have for those consumers, the product nature is very important, but also the brand you build. What is the one word that you want your customers to think of when they're buying your solution?
The brands, you mean?
Yes.
We want to be bold. Because we're redefining email. It's like 50 years old, and we want to update something that's important but needs an update.
Thank you.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
We have time for one more, or we got
46.
46. What are you going to do with the money?
So for us, the money helps us to hire more key talent. That's the biggest thing. Yeah, that's what we most likely will do. Key talent and experimenting a bit more on the paid channels. Yeah.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks
Thanks
so
a lot,
much.
Lucas. Inconsistencies in documents can tank major decisions, and fixing them often means hours of manual review. Parsewise turns document chaos into clarity. Users can upload materials, define topics of interest, detect inconsistencies, and rely on trusted data to evaluate opportunities automatically. It's a system built for anyone who's ever wished their documents could check themselves. Please give a roaring applause to Max from Parsewise.
Hello, Slush. I'm Max, CEO and co-founder of Parsewise, and I'm really excited to be here on stage today. Parsewise is a data platform that automates investing and underwriting decisions by turning large-scale, complex document packages into ready-to-use ontologies without requiring any engineering. We've built an LLM-native data platform for large-scale unstructured documents. And since we launched in May this year, we've grown to over $200,000 in ARR, with global customers across investment management, underwriting, and insurance. And this is all enabled by our proprietary Parsewise data engine. Earlier this year, we were part of YC's first X25 batch. The founding team consists of Palantir and Bain alumni who met studying computer science at the University of Oxford. I ran my first business at the age of 12 and later founded a successful data science consultancy while completing my PhD in machine learning. Greg has been winning maths and computer science competitions from a very early age and later closed more than $50 million in revenue while at Palantir. Underwriting and investment decisions today are really slow and error-prone, as a lot of people in the audience probably know. Think of private equity investments, loan underwriting decisions, or portfolio monitoring decisions. These decisions require large document packages that you find in data rooms, loan application documents, and reporting documentation. Until now, companies really had three bad options. First, you could just do it manually, which is very slow and error-prone. Second, you could use chat-based tools, but they're still slow because of the validation tax. And third, you can engineer your own solutions, but those are typically very expensive and brittle. So that's a pretty bad state. Parsewise is solving that with an end-to-end platform that allows non-technical users to go from complex document packages to a ready-to-use ontology. We've developed a purpose-built product that's easy to use. On the left-hand side, you see how for every value that we extract, we show you with full auditability and control where this value was extracted from and how all the matches were resolved to a single answer. On the right-hand side, you see an example how business experts can add their guidance at any step of the pipeline. All of this is powered by what we call Parsewise Labs, our applied research unit, with a singular mission, namely to transform how businesses work with unstructured documents at large scale. Our first research output is what we call the Parsewise Data Engine, or PDE, which is our proprietary modeling framework for going from document packages to ready-to-use ontologies without requiring any engineering. It's differentiated across a few dimensions compared to ChatGPT and RAG-style approaches. including our own exhaustive cross-document attention layer, continuous feedback that we use to improve and specialize extractions for customers. Third, using the best available models for every particular task in our pipeline. And then finally, the ability to auto-generate and edit ontologies with plain language. Our target is our mid-market financial and insurance organizations that really struggle and are being slowed down and held back by document-heavy decision workflows. Our target persona is the head of analytics and AI, and we're contacting them or reaching them through direct sales and content-driven inbound. We're using a hybrid business model, which consists of a yearly access fee and consumption-based upsell. Especially at the beginning, there's a bit of a service component involved to ensure white glove onboarding for our enterprise customers, but that's decreasing over time as the product revenue is increasing over time. Looking at our competitors, we're the most reliable and business-friendly platform out there. We're more business-friendly than API tools like Extend, Reducto, and Unstructured, and we're a lot more reliable and auditable than chat-based tools like Hebbia, ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Anthropic. The market for financial data platforms is large and is only getting larger with Gen AI generating more unstructured data. Today, we're selectively expanding our cap table with new partners. Partners both in a sense of investors, but also users of Parsewise. So if you're a VC or LP and you're keen to try out Parsewise, make sure to use our special Slush deal by scanning this QR code. Thank you.
Thank you, Max. Who's going to start this time?
I'm happy to start. Thank you for a great presentation. Let's talk about your market positioning for a little bit. So as frontier models like Anthropic are starting to focus more on financial services, and you're seeing a lot more applied AI companies also having vertical focus in legal, in consultancy, in financial services, how are you going to be building a moat against these competitive companies?
Right. So there, at the core, it's really quite simple. It's two parts. The first part is that because we're systematically tracking and storing user interactions and user behavior on a KPI level, we can make really specific improvements and, so for example, fine-tune models to specific KPIs for specific customers. So that's part number one. And then part number two is we have a dedicated purpose-built UI. And so that allows really customers to reuse agent definitions across different projects, reuse data that they've extracted previously, and use that in a more programmatic and systematic fashion than chat-based solutions would.
Yeah, so next question. First, cool presentation, and I think ABC, always be closing. I think you're the only founder that sells the product on stage. So good. Let's talk about the product a little bit. LLMs can do a lot, but they hallucinate, and your customers are basing very, very important decisions on your recommendations. And do I underwrite this loan? Do I invest in this asset?
Yeah.
If you give me the wrong answer, I'm losing potentially a lot of money. So how do you deal with model hallucinations, and then also how do you provide traceability across a product that you understand, okay, this data point that is being outputted here, and then I'm basing my decision on, I can trace back to a particular document or part of the due diligence report that I've sort of interacted with when ingesting the data.
Yeah, this is really at the core of what we do. It's this auditability on the one hand, but to answer your question in a more general way, it's really this idea that you've got the workflow. So for a user, all they need to do is upload a bunch of documents and then define their ontology once, and that's it. But what's happening in the back end is that we're breaking down that seemingly simple user interaction into a lot of very, very small steps which reduces hallucinations, because all the LLM has to do is a very simple task that's very well contained. So that helps a lot on the technical side. And then we can expose those steps to the user. The default user flow is very simple, but at every particular step, the user, if we flag it proactively, or if the user has any concern, can sort of double-click and dive into the steps that we've processed in the backend, and not only can review those, but also has control to change how they work.
Yeah. Great answer. Thank you.
Okay. We've got time for one very quick question.
Okay, I promise to be quick. So when building a brand, and especially when having a product that gets into the core of the business, I think trust in this case is super important. How are your thoughts on building a brand that kind of breeds trust towards this audience?
Yeah, it's a really good point. Trust is really, really core, and it has at least two elements for us, which is trust in the way we're interacting with our customers. So we're a trusted partner to our customers. We're not just a product provider, but we're really trying to advise them in terms of how they can best solve the business problem at hand. So that's point number one. And then point number two is across the product, and this links to the previous question. We want to make sure that at any given time, the user can double-click and go deeper and really understand how we process the data and how we resolved it to get to the answer that they are seeing. And so it's really the sort of customer interactions aspect of trust as well as the product that seems to be a good combination.
Cool, thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot for the great questions, and thanks, Max.
Thank you.
You can go now as well. You can go as well. What a round of pitches. Each founder walked on this stage and left nothing behind. Months of work, tough decisions, late nights, all compressed into a few minutes of pure conviction. And very soon, we will know who claims the Slush 100 crown. But first, a moment of appreciation for our jury, who just headed backstage to make the final decision. Their questions were sharp, insights were real, and they pushed every founder to bring their absolute best. And this competition is stronger because of them, so let's give them a big round of applause. They've got one of the hardest decisions of the entire event. But while they are in that room making the final decision, we are not slowing down. We want to give every founder and every aspiring founder something to take home from this stage. So before we announce the winner, we are bringing Sophia and Zeynep right back here for a conversation focused entirely on you, the builders. They will dive into what makes an early stage founder truly stand out, the most common mistakes in first round fundraising, how to find the right VC, and what separates a pass from a yes at pre-seed and seed. And for the 1,700 volunteers and future founders in this room, they will share what Europe needs next and the advice they want every aspiring founder walking out of Slush 2025 to remember. The discussion will be moderated by Slush President Elin. So Slush, let's get ready for a conversation every founder should hear. Please join me in welcoming back to the stage Sophia, Zeynep, and Elin.
It's great to be here with you, Sophia and Zeynep. How are you feeling?
Very good, thank you. It's always exciting to come to Slush, and this was, thrilling with the competition. So very good, thanks.
Well, we'll keep the suspense up still for 15 more minutes before we announce the winner. And we're here to talk a little bit about early stage company building in Europe, and for you to share your lessons with the thousands of founders here in the audience. So yeah, let's jump right into it. More than 80% of companies at Slush are in the kind of pre-seed to seed stages, so where you focus on as early stage investors. What is it that makes a founder stand out to you at this stage?
Well, I can start. For me, I think it's crucial that the founder has this deep passion and knowledge and conviction about what they're building, because it is going to be a very long and hard journey. So if you're not incredibly determined and enjoy what you're doing, it's going to be too hard. So I think passion is number one. Number two is that you have some sort of head start. Maybe it is that you worked at a company and you saw a problem, so you know how you can solve that, or that you have some deep understanding for a technology that no one else has, etc. That's what we sometimes talk about as founder market fit. And then also, of course, the macro trends. You want to see that the market is also heading towards where the product is being built.
Yeah. Zeynep, anything to add to that?
I completely agree with Sofia. What I would add is that when I speak to founders for the first time, the one question I always ask is, why are you building this? So for me, the question of what are you building is less important. I'm a lot more interested in why you're building it. And it actually comes down to passion. Because if you have that authentic reason on why you're building a business, that will give you the passion. And that passion combined with clarity of thought is incredibly powerful for you to move mountains. So that's exactly what I'm looking for.
And maybe to add to that, that passion is infectious. So we as investors, we get excited when you are excited. I also think it's infectious when you hire top talent, which is super important. And when you have investor conversations, selling, partner conversations, etc. So I think that is a key ingredient.
Zeynep, you mentioned clarity of thought. It's actually something that we also have as one of our values at Slush. How do you evaluate that? How does that show in a founder?
You have clarity of thought when you've thought a lot about something. And you only really think a lot about something. One, maybe you were exposed to it. So this is what kind of comes down to what Sofia was talking about having unique insights about something. You've had a life experience that made you come up with that unique insight. You've had a working experience that made you come up with that unique insight. That effectively is what gives you clarity of thought. So if you have curiosity and if you're like always looking to learn, that effectively will in the end give you a clarity of thought. So it's a question of, have our founders done their homework, right? When we're meeting, have they really done their research? And do they know what are the things they want to test with the funding? That's what we're looking for.
Yeah. So first lesson to the founders, do your homework.
Yes.
What are some of the most common mistakes you see founders making when raising their first round? And talking to VCs for the first time, it's really nerve-wracking. So how could they also avoid those?
I would say one simple thing is do the research on who is it that you're meeting. What is their background and what is the investment strategy for their fund? I think surprisingly many people reach out, over email and they're pitching something that is not, a good match for our investment strategy. So I think that is number one. Understand who you talk to, and then of course kind of try and tell your story in an authentic way so that passion comes through, and then know your numbers.
Anything to add?
One of the things that I've recently been observing is that the idea has become a means to capital. So I'm now often meeting founders who want to build. It's an exciting time to build, but they don't have an idea. And they will be speaking to investors to try to understand what are the things investors would invest in. And then that idea, the business idea, becomes a means to raising capital. And I think that's a huge mistake because the idea is the building block of a company, and the capital should be the means to the idea for you to make your vision into reality, not the other way around. So this is why I go back to the question of why quite a lot. I quite often ask founders, take me to the moment when you made the decision to start a company, and specifically this company. How you came up with that. And that's how I assess the authenticity of how they came up with the idea. And I would just urge them to take their time on what to build, and don't speak to investors about what to build. Please speak to other product people and builders to understand the solutions.
We have a lot of future builders in the audience who want to build something and might not know, again, what the idea is going to be yet. So what would your advice be for them?
Speak to potential customers, trying to identify the problems. Speak to other builders, like build your community of other technical people and engineers. That would be my advice.
Yeah, so second advice is don't speak to the investors, speak to the customers.
Yes.
And I think I would add to that, talk to yourself a bit about what is the things that bother you the most in the world. Because where you find big problems, there needs to be big solutions. And if you can be the person who comes up with one of those solutions, I think then you'll have a journey of your lifetime building that company.
You already, Zeynep, talked a little bit about founders coming to talk to you who, again, might not know what they're building yet. If a founder is good, but they're not the right fit for you, how would you advise them to find the right VC for their company? Zeynep, do you want to start?
This actually goes back to Sophia's point. When we invest in a company, or if a founder accepts our offer, that's a very long-term commitment. As General Catalyst, when we invest from the idea stage all the way up to pre-IPO and sometimes even after. So we're going to be with you for 10 years, 20 years, a long time. And therefore, the decision is actually quite personal as well. So I think it's good to have the time to get to know each other and looking for that personal fit with not just like the partner who's doing the investment, but also with the firm and the ideals of the firm.
Sophia?
Yeah, I would add to that, and maybe go to who are other people that are thinking about this problem, that are in this field where I'm operating. And at times, a fund can pass because they have potentially a competitive company in the portfolio, but that doesn't mean that you're not a good fit for them. And then you can ask, all right, do you have any other people that you recommend me talking to? So I would also just encourage people to ask for feedback and then ask for, do you have anyone else in mind that could be a good match for me? And then, of course, go abroad. If you don't find anyone in the US, come to Europe, etc.
So go abroad and ask for advice to find the right people. As I said in the opening speech, we need more founders in Europe, and we have over 1,700 volunteers here in the audience, many of whom are dreaming about founding their own company. So what advice would you have for the aspiring founders in the audience who are thinking about it, but maybe a bit unsure still if they're really going to take the leap?
I would encourage people to go for it. Sounds very basic, but just do it. And I would also just wish to send this thought, everyone starts somewhere. So I was fortunate enough to join Spotify back in 2007. And today, yes, Spotify looks like a great success. But back then, we were just 10 people in a small flat with no product built and no licensing deals done. Everybody told us that was impossible. You can't build this. So go for it. Everybody has been a new beginner at one point. So people that look super accomplished and successful, they have also started out somewhere. And just remember that it's about the long run and not the sprint. So find your mission and then go for it. Dare to jump.
It's an incredible time to build right now. And I have to say my one advice is that build in Europe. I think it's an amazing time right now to build in Europe. If you look at it from a talent perspective and with AI coming into play, there's not that much AI native talent in the world. You're actually looking for people who have complete beginner's minds when they're building new products. A lot of that talent is actually coming out of universities, and in Europe we have amazing universities. So if you are a new technology company emerging in Europe today, you might think that you're not in the best talent pool, and the best talent pool is actually in the US. That is not true. You're looking for people who are tinkerers and people who have beginner minds. So go and recruit from the universities and use your advantage being in Europe, being in a slightly less competitive market for this talent.
And I can also add that now when technology is developing so fast, it's like no one has a head start. You have the same starting field. And I work out of something called Founders House in Stockholm, Sweden, where a lot of young AI founders sit together. And it's almost on a weekly basis that you learn new things. So I think the other thing that I also want to mention is stay curious and be on top of how you can utilize the new technology. And nurture relationships with those who have already cracked that code and understand how you can. And, just dive into the new chapter of innovation that is out there.
Going back to what you said earlier, Sophia, when you started at Spotify, it was basically nothing. And while there are lots of potential future founders in the audience, there are also many potential operators who want to join, a company that will become what Spotify is today eventually. So what is your advice for how do you evaluate those early stage opportunities when it's just, 10 people in an apartment somewhere and not much else?
Yeah, I think again it comes back to even though we didn't have anything built, we had a lot when it came to vision and boldness and like energy. So the founder, Daniel Ek and Martin Lorentzon, the founder of Spotify, they were so good at communicating their vision for this product and why we were the right team to kind of change the way people consume music and why we should create this product that would give everyone access to all the world's music across the globe. And it was so inspiring and mind-blowing and slightly terrifying and daunting at the same time. So I felt incredibly excited and thinking like, oh, can I do this? Probably not, but it's too exciting not to try it out. So again, I think it comes back to what we spoke about with the infectious energy and passion and like determination that this is a product that needs to be created and no one else is doing it, so why don't we?
So it comes down to kind of the founder passion and that infectious energy and having a big vision.
Yeah.
And then you, if you want to join that company, you just have to believe in that.
Yeah, that's how it was for me at least. Yeah.
Finally, this is going to be the last stage talk of the year. So what would you want all of the founders to take home from Slush 2025? Any final pieces of advice?
Don't be afraid to fail. You know, this is a time to go try out things. This is the time to be, you know, meeting very interesting people, being curious. I would encourage everyone to go do that. And every experience that you have trying to do that, even if it doesn't work, will make you effectively stronger. So just be bold and just like Sophia said, try it out.
I 100% agree. And then build relationships and sort of get to know people, understand what made them join a company or build a company, and share your lessons learned, because when you give, you receive a lot. So when you find what you want to do, go out there and talk to people about it and share your knowledge, because then you'll receive back. And then continue to come to Slush. I think you learn a lot and you can meet a lot of people here. Continue to build and reach out to us when you need funding.
Exactly. What do you think is the role of Slush in this whole ecosystem?
The role of Slush?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm super proud that I've been kind of invited for many years now. I think the role of Slush has been...
Sophia has been coming for... this is her 10th year at Slush.
10th year? That's pretty impressive. Let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you. I'm honored to have been here so many years, and I think seeing it grow over years, I'm super impressed and humbled and also very inspired. Like, you can feel the energy in this room and all of the other side events, etc. I think for me it's like an annual event where you meet people that you've known for a long time and you meet new people and you learn stuff. So it's a very kind of energetic energy boost. And I think it has played an incredibly big role in the creating of the ecosystem in the whole of Europe and especially the Nordic region. So thank you and kudos for everything you created.
Thank you. Anything to add?
Nothing to add to that.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming here and sharing your learnings with the audience. And now let's move on to the winner announcement.
Great.
Thank you for having us.